There is a lot of advice out there on what is the one trait that all successful entrepreneurs share. Some common schools of thought are the Think and Grow Rich school, where the argument is that it's all about your mindset and manifesting it. And if you've got that right, everything else will fall into place. And then another common school of thought is the work hard, sacrifice, hustle, nonstop type of culture. While having the right mindset and a great work ethic are absolutely important, I've got a different viewpoint for you today. And it's one I formed through my own experience, what I feel has made the biggest difference to my being able to build a successful business, and the top trait that I look for when having coached well over 1,000 entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs at this point. I'm looking for whether or not I believe that I will be able to help someone succeed. I'm going to share with you what that trait is, and then I'm going to break it out for you in really great detail so that you can apply these things for yourself. The trait that I'm talking about is what I call coachability. Now, I want to make it clear, I'm not saying you have to go out there and get yourself a coach ASAP if you want to succeed. Coachability has a much broader definition, the way that I'm going to define it. And that can be whether you hire a coach, you find a mentor, you buy courses or books, or you just browse the internet for lots of great free content like this video. So with that, let me break down for you the elements of what it means to have coachability or to develop it for yourself so that you give yourself the best chance of success with your entrepreneurial dreams. The very first element that coachability entails is knowing what you don't know. Knowing what you don't know. Yes. Knowing the things that you don't know. Let me clarify it like that. So there are things, if you're starting out as an entrepreneur, you don't know, but you need to know, like how to market, how to sell, how to maybe do some copywriting, the basics of setting up your business, and so on and so forth. Those are the things you don't know. So you want to work on that. But then also knowing that there are so many things that you don't even know that you don't know. So it's getting a little bit of a tongue twister, but things that you don't know that you don't know. And being able to actively stay open to learning them along the way. Let me give you an example of this. I'm thinking of a client I had a while back who I absolutely loved. But there was room for improvement, as we all have. And I had helped her get her business to a low multiple 6 figures. So it was doing really good. And then she said, okay, I'm going to go off and I'm really going to go and enjoy my life for a while. And she did that. She came back, I would say about a year later, and reached out to me and said, hey, I'm getting ready to scale my business. And I wanted to ask you because I'm looking for coaching again, and I thought maybe we might be a good fit to work together some more. What is it going to take to get from where I am now to where I want to be? Is it just going to be more mindset and that's all I really need to do and just do more of the same? Or is there something else? And the underlying question was, do I already know everything I need to know? And I called that out to her with love, of course. And I said, hey, this is what you need to hear. This is arrogant speaking because you are not owning that there are so many things you don't know. Here's the thing. You can't really fully know something until you've actually gone through it, because before you've experienced it, all it is, no matter how well you know it, is simply theory. And so thinking that theory alone or the things that you have already gotten or know are going to get you to that next place is naive and most likely arrogant as well. And so what coachability means in this aspect is making sure that, yes, of course, you're pursuing the skills that you don't have or things you need to learn that you don't know yet and pursuing that. But also realizing at each new level, there is also a whole bunch of other stuff that you don't know right now. If you did, you would already be at that level, and then you would be wanting to go to the next level with all the other stuff that you don't know. So all you have to do is to be open to that and to realize that each new level there's more, and to continually be pursuing that and open to that until you decide you don't want to grow anymore or you feel at a good stopping point. So that's trait number 1, which is so important to embrace, because I know it can be tempting to think, okay, I've gotten this amount of success. I'm so smart. I know this. Do I really know everything I need? So that's the first trait. The second trait that is so important is not only just to have coachability, but to be proactively coachable. That means that you not only are coachable, but you are actively wanting coaching. And in fact, you seek out mentors and people to learn from so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel, so that people can help you with the things you don't know and the things that you don't even know you don't know yet. Now, on top of that, there's one other aspect that is just as important for being proactively coachable. And what that is that in this context, you are also happy to quote unquote pay for the opportunity to be coached. Now, I understand talking about money and investing can be a sensitive topic. And so here's what I'm going to say. There's no one way to do anything, but ultimately nothing is free. If you're going to grow your business, there is no entrepreneur in the history of the world who has done it on their own. That's just not how the world or business works. There are various ways you can pay for additional support and mentorship. You can give a percentage of your business in terms of just into an investor who gives you feedback, or someone who sits on your board and then helps guide you as well. That's really common in the startup world, in the venture capital world. You can give it in terms of time, where maybe you intern under someone for a while, you work for them for a while, and then you learn just through working for them. And then you've built that relationship where they're happy to give you a little bit of extra guidance. Or you use money. So for, I think, a lot of us where maybe you don't have the connection to put in the time, or you're not necessarily starting up a really high investment requirement type of business, the using your money as a form of trading for that guidance and mentorship and coaching is one of the easiest things to do. And again, as I mentioned earlier, you can start out buying just books and courses, and there might come a time when you want to be coached by someone at a deeper, more intense level. The specifics are not what we're talking about here, so don't get caught up with that. What I'm saying is to be proactively coachable, to seek out the things that are going to help you grow faster, to understand no one does it alone. It's like that saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, you've got to go together. And so having that in mind, and then looking for the right mentors for you specifically, and being willing to put in what it takes because you're respecting their experience, their time, what you're going to get from it, and believing in yourself to be able to get that coaching and make it work for you. That leads me to the third trait that's part of being coachable and having coachability, and that is to take responsibility for your own results. This is probably something that you've heard before, but it's one thing to know it logically. It's another thing to really make sure that you are living it. So a really common thing that happens is someone might buy a course or a book or hire a coach to help them grow their business and then think, okay, this person needs to have responsibility for me. This is the mindset that a lot of people have when, for example, they're buying a course and they email in and they ask, okay, what's the refund policy here? What if this doesn't work for me? And I need to know so that if it doesn't work, I can get my refund. Whenever someone asks that, if I have a refund policy for that product, of course, I'm happy to share it. But that's also the reason a lot of my products do not have refund policies. Just like you don't go to school, like a university or college, and expect to get a refund if it quote unquote doesn't work for you. Knowledge doesn't not work. Now, assuming that you are learning from someone who is legitimate and has the experience and ability to be able to teach you, we're going to kind of ignore that there are absolutely people who should not be teaching the things that they're teaching. So assuming you've done your due diligence for that part, then it just comes down to why wouldn't that knowledge work for me? So I need to not put the responsibility on the course or the coach, again, assuming that they are good. So I'm not promoting anybody go out there and just, buy from someone who's not qualified to teach on a certain thing. But that aside, taking responsibility for your own results versus expecting a course or a coach to kind of do it for you. And I know it can be tempting. I've definitely been there in the beginning, especially when everything feels so scary. You're wondering if this is going to work or not. And you've found someone who you've paid a good amount of money to help you. You want them to be like okay, you've got this, I'm going to help you with this. Maybe I'm even going to do it for you. I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to do this exactly as I would do it for you. It's tempting. But ultimately, when you succeed, that success is yours and yours alone. And so it makes sense, that's how life works, that to get there, you have to put in the work and take the responsibility and lead. So that's trait number 3. Trait number 4 is more of an attitude that makes a really big difference. And that attitude can be best summarized in this way. Some people come in asking, how can I make this work for me? Other people come in asking, oh, why would this work for me? And that really attitude can be summed up in one word, which is humility. An example of this that I remember is a few years ago in my mastermind at the time. One of the clients that I was coaching was someone who had a fairly successful business teaching people how to use YouTube. And she had already done, I think, maybe low 6 figures or so in her business. And she really wanted to add a course and sell it on Evergreen, which is basically have an automated system to sell it 24/7. And so I laid out the plan for her, every single thing in detail, and gave her really specific instructions for her business specifically. And I said, hey, here's the plan. Do this. I'm going to give you feedback, and this is going to be really good. I'd done this so many times, I had no doubt. But what happened was she went off. She was like, okay, this is good. On our next call, she came back. She hadn't done a single thing. And she asked me, she was like, yes, I know you laid out this plan for me, but my course is less expensive than yours. So I'm not sure if what you're planning is going to work for me. Do you see the arrogance in that? And it was especially arrogant and frankly, I don't even know how to describe, like, ignorant and not making the most of the investment, which why would you do that to yourself? Because if she had asked me or remembered what I told her before, she would have known I had a lot of experience selling that type of course before she had met me. So even though I didn't have that exact business model now, I had done that previously for years with the exact degree of success and more that she was wanting. But because she came in thinking, why wouldn't this work for me? I know best, and this is not exactly my situation, so it probably won't work. What had ended up happening was she wasn't able to implement it. And I don't even know, I haven't, checked in on her or spoken to her in years, but I'm pretty sure that she has never built that system to date. And so, I'm not sharing that person's name because this is not about any specific person. It's about the attitude. And frankly, I think this is an attitude that can pop up for all of us from time to time. And so I would ask yourself, how am I thinking about this? If I've made the decision and I've done my due diligence to invest in a coach, a course, or even some free content, because that's still an investment of time, what's going on and how am I thinking about it? So that, am I thinking about how I can make this work for me? Or am I wasting so much mental energy and time wondering how this won't work for me and thus is pointless anyways? So that is trait number 4. The last trait that I want to share with you in terms of having coachability is what I call being impatiently patient. Not patiently impatient, but impatiently patient. And that is to both have patience for the long-term goal versus, okay, I need to make this amount of money by this amount of time or else I'm going to give up and it's not going to work for me. If you Google, how long has it taken so-and-so or successful entrepreneurs and how long it took them to build their businesses, you will see the whole spectrum of time. Some people succeed fairly quickly or have their first success relatively quickly, but then they take longer to have their next success. Some people spend years or maybe even decades before they break through, but then when they break through, it's such a huge life-shifting breakthrough that, of course, that makes it all worth it. And then there's everything in between as well. And what I mean by being impatiently patient is first being patient in terms of being as committed to however much time is needed to get where you want to go and not setting basically made up timeframes for, okay, if this doesn't happen the way I want it by this date, I'm just going to give up. right? Think about how I just said that. If you had a kid who said that to you, Mom, Dad, if you don't help me do this thing, or I don't have this toy by this date, you're a horrible parent and, it just means that you don't love me. How would you respond to that? See, sometimes it's easier to see it in an analogy and understand, oh yeah, that doesn't really make sense. Why would I set an arbitrary date that's not even based on anything except something made up in my mind? So that's what I mean by patient, being patient for as long as it takes to get the result, but also being impatiently patient because we're not sitting around just waiting for the business to happen, because if you do that, you will be waiting forever. The best example, or one of the best examples of this, is the story of Thomas Edison, which you probably have heard before, but there's a reason it's such a popular story of how he invented the light bulb, where he tried, 1,000 or 1,001 times. And for the first 1,000 times, it didn't work. He kept on learning from it and improving on it and trying again, until ultimately on the 1,001st try, it came together. And when someone asked him how he thought about all this, he essentially said, the first 1,000 times were just 1,000 ways that I learned to not make a light bulb. And that attitude is the embodiment of being impatiently patient. You're being impatient in terms of not sitting around waiting for things to happen. You are actively, as quickly and efficiently as you can, making progress, learning from it, improving it, tweaking it, right? Applying all the stuff that we talked about earlier. Learning the things you don't know, learning the things you don't know, being proactively coachable, all of those things, and doing it every day, and then applying your analytical mindset of, okay, what's working, what's not, and going from there. And then also doing it in the bigger picture context of, I will do this as many times as it takes, the same way Edison was thinking, okay, if I have to figure out 1,000 ways to not do this, then so be it. Ultimately, one of these ways will be the way to do it. Right? So the same thing applies for building a business, having that impatiently patient attitude. So with that is what it takes to have coachability. And as I said, I believe this to be the number one trait that it takes to succeed as an entrepreneur, because I'm sure you know plenty of people or can think of examples of people who have really strong mindsets or are really positive thinkers, but don't have the success that they want. I mean, take Napoleon Hill, the author of Think and Grow Rich, for example. He ultimately, when he died, was not super successful. I'll just leave it at that. And I'm also sure you know plenty of people who work really hard and still don't have the results that they want. And so why is that? It's because they're missing this trait or the application of it in a greater degree to be able to have more success. Now, with that, if you are starting on your entrepreneurial journey or in the beginning, I have two things for you that I think you're going to find really helpful. The first is a really great PDF on the blueprint for building an online coaching business that will help you replace your 9-to-5 salary, because that's the first piece. Get started, do a business that can quickly help you replace your income, and then lay the foundation for wherever you want to grow. And so you can get that PDF. I'm going to link it for you in the description below. And also, I have a great video for you if you're ready to go out there, have coachability, develop it, and get started on how to start your coaching business in just the next 24 hours, hit the ground running, and get it going. So if you want that, I'm gonna put that video for you somewhere on this screen, and then I will see you over there.